Welcome, my friends, to the Bob and Brad podcast. My name is Mike Keenitz, and today I'm interviewing Jordan, who has her bachelor's in exercise science, master's in nutrition, and is a certified personal trainer. She also does the follow-along exercise videos on the Bob and Brad channel. And today we are talking about getting back on track after the holidays. So, without further ado, here's Jordan. All right, welcome back to the program, Jordan.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
I'd say 10-time guest, but I lost count. I don't think it's 10 yet.
I don't think 10, maybe 5, but...
All right, today we're talking about getting back on track after the holidays. So, my first question for you are, what are your top tips for someone looking to get back on track after the holidays?
Yeah, simply put, that's a good way to start it. Pretty seasonally appropriate, I think, to talk about this because, well, my full-time job is in the gym world. And it goes without saying that this is tis the season for making changes. I think a lot of that stems from, we go through all the holidays and we have a lot of social gatherings and a lot of stuff going on, and we just indulge in a lot more than we care to. And I think we're all looking for like a reset. What can we do? So a couple, I guess there's so many different avenues I could go down when you ask me this, but some of my top tips that I would go with, well, first of all, get your nutrition back in check. I would put that right up there at the top because that tends to be the thing that falls off the most around the holiday times because we just eat more sugar and junk and things that we don't normally eat. So getting your nutrition in check, get moving, get off your butt, maybe start an exercise program or simply just move more. Actually, and my third tip was walk more, but I guess that kind of incorporates into that. But beyond just finding some sort of exercise routine you could follow, super important to just move your body. So get up and walk. Next tip would be stay hydrated. So get your water consumption up. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about water later. So we'll just keep it simple with that. Cut out the sugar. That kind of goes with my first tip, but I wanted to put this in a category in and of itself because this tends to be kind of the pitfall on the holidays is sugar consumption going way up. And sometimes when that happens, we have a really hard time bringing it back down. So trying to cut out the sugar, especially those sugar sweetened beverages, prioritizing sleep. We kind of forget, sometimes we talk all about food and fitness and all that when it comes to getting healthier, but we fail to realize the importance of sleep. So aiming to get your 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep each night, and then finding ways to decrease your stress level. I think those would be my top things to help get you back on track and focus on. If you have anything to add, please, by all means.
I think those are all good tips. I think people just kind of get in a slump, especially if you're in winter conditions like we are in. During winter, you don't want to move as much and you get eating bad, and then you get in a rut and you kind of have to get out of the rut. So I feel like most people know what they need to do, but they just don't start doing it.
Right. I would agree with that.
Which is a mindset thing, which we'll talk about later as well, because that's another question we have.
Yes, this is meant to just kind of be a overview, get people thinking about some different things that they could change.
So. Right. So if someone's gotten a little out of control with sugar consumption, as you were saying earlier, I'm not saying you did it, but you were talking about it. What would be for some tips for people to get back on track and gain control over their blood sugars again?
Well, Mike, I will tell you, I am a human being, and I too also like Christmas cookies. I don't want to put this persona out there that I don't know what this feels like, because I do. I tend to get to this time of year and feel like I just need a little overhaul too, because I tend to fall into the same traps any other person does around the holidays. But when it comes to blood sugar, this is a very common problem people go through when we get into those cycles of sugar. It's really hard to get out of it because it's really addicting. So we're faced with endless amounts of it this time of year, and it still can kind of creep over. If you work in an office setting, there's probably people bringing in all their leftover junk and putting it in front of you. You might still have some family gatherings that come about. So big thing is to help you focus on balancing your blood sugar, one of the top tips I have for that is focus on balance at your meals and snacks. So I am a big proponent. We actually had this on the podcast, a whole podcast on like eating meals to balance your blood sugar, but I'll try to just give a really easy recap and overview. Big thing is balancing out your meals. So every time you go to eat, whether it be a full-blown meal or a snack, making sure that you have a good healthy fat and a good quality protein along with your carbohydrate. So to make this more practical, if instead of grabbing like just an apple for a snack, an apple is a carbohydrate, right? So what that does in your body, you go to eat the apple, it spikes your blood sugar, which then leads to a crash in your blood sugar, which makes you want more sugar. Yeah. So my example for this would be like have a handful of almonds with your apple. You're going to get a dose of healthy fats and some protein with that, which slows down the digestion of your apple in this example, which just helps keep your blood sugar levels more normalized. So my biggest, simplest tip for balancing blood sugar levels is balancing your meals. So not eating carbohydrates all on their own and really prioritizing healthy fats, specifically avocados, any kind of nut that you like, olive oil, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, and then again, quality proteins. That makes sense?
Yeah. I would say, yeah, getting your blood sugars back in control. The last time I did this, which was quite a while ago, because I eat keto, so my blood sugars are always stable.
Right.
The last time I had crappy food, the next day, I don't drink anymore, but I felt like I was hungover. It was that bad. And that night, I had sugar cravings again, and I just kind of had to keep myself occupied. A lot of times if I get sugar cravings, I just need something in my mouth. So I will just chew some sugar-free gum.
Yep.
And that works for me. I mean, once I got a couple days over it, I was fine. But yeah, my blood sugars had gone up that night. And yeah, I felt terrible the next
And
day.
this was from what, one day of eating crappy?
Yeah.
Right. So imagine people doing this for months or years on end, how hard it is to get out of that cycle.
Yeah, it gets into this cycle. So for me, it's just like this year, like I just stay away from it. It's just easier that way. I don't like that feeling the next day.
Right. Yeah. I think that the trouble is too, if people are eating, the high sugary, high carbohydrate diets all the time, they maybe don't even understand like how bad they feel. To get out of that cycle, it can be tough, but that's why instead of focusing on like, hey, I'm going to cut all this stuff out, my better tip in my mind is just focus on balancing out your meals. And then as a unintended consequence, I think it's going to get easier to say no to the sugary stuff because you're not going to have the cravings as much.
Yeah. Once you get in a cycle of eating healthy, whatever version that is for you as an individual, it's easier to stick with it than it's harder to start than to stick with it, in my opinion. But
I would agree with that.